What does an NFL Superbowl champion have to say about company culture? How does teamwork in the office compare to teamwork on the field? Hear from former professional running back Robert Turbin.
Hey there, I'm Krista Vance, entrepreneur and operations leader.
And I'm Matt Vance, award-winning author and social innovation researcher. We're your hosts of the Culture Profit Podcast.
Your place for purposeful company culture strategy.
Learn from HR pros, executives, and thought leaders how to prioritize profits by prioritizing people.
This episode is sponsored by Mobrium, the best friend of forward-thinking HR leaders, helping you strengthen your employer reputation as a reflection of your real culture.
Learn more at mobrium.com. We are in for a treat today. Joining us is Robert Turbin, legendary former running back for the Seattle Seahawks. Thanks for joining us, Robert.
Thanks for having me.
So a little bit about Robert. Robert is an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and former professional athlete. After an impressive career from 2007 to 2011 playing football at the collegiate level for Utah State University, go Aggies, he was inducted to the USU Athletic Hall of Fame. He was then selected by the Seattle Seahawks in the 2012 NFL Draft. In his rookie season, Turbin ran for 354 yards on 81 carries, and in 2014, he contributed to the Seahawks' only Super Bowl championship, defeating the Denver Broncos 43-8. He continued professional play through 2019. Outside of the world of football, Robert's passion for growth and giving have led him to many off-the-field victories. In 2013, he launched his first charity initiative, starting a youth football academy. And in 2014, he founded the Runnin4U Foundation, which focuses on accessibility in tech and nutritional research that are beneficial to multiple sclerosis and cerebral palsy. Robert's multifaceted approach to work and play have also led him to be a brand ambassador, podcast host, tech advisor, and sports commentator.
Wow,
that's definitely a lot.
That's quite the intro. I feel like I need to hire you guys as like my PR team or something. I appreciate that.
Well, we're so glad that you're here, Robert. And
yeah, thanks for being with us.
For everyone listening, I just wanted to tell a short story of how Robert and I actually connected. This was about a year ago. Robert messaged me just out of the blue on LinkedIn. And it was something along the lines of, hey, I noticed that you were in sports at Utah State, and I like to connect with collegiate alumni. And I was on the track team, different level. I was a walk-on, just running, you had to run and catch, flying footballs and not get tackled. So completely different level. But that message led to a conversation. We ended up meeting up at a local restaurant in town, Angie's Restaurant, which is a great spot. And we've had some really fun conversations and now working together at Mobrium as well. We're very fortunate and grateful to have Robert as one of our advisors to the business. So just wanted to give that little background of like, Robert, you're an awesome guy and you really know how to just connect with people. And we appreciate you for being here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you taking the time and just your willingness to be open and meet with me and connect with me, and then fast forward putting me in this position to be on the advisory board for Mobrium, and it's an exciting opportunity for me. And to your defense, all right, I had the opportunity and pleasure to actually train with the USA track team in San Diego. They were in Chula Vista actually, and
wow.
And I worked out. Yeah, I had the opportunity to work out with some of the long jumpers and sprinters. And so, although I may be putting on a helmet and trying to juke guys and run guys over for touchdowns, track may be one of the more challenging sports there is out there that exists. All right, so don't cut yourself short on that.
It definitely can. Yeah, you feel the burn for sure. I'll give you that.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Matt's story just reiterates to me, Robert is such a personable guy. We had a call with him. He's one of our advisors for the company that we are starting. And just that was everyone's first impression of you, just how genuine you are. I mean, NFL champion, that's no small feat. And yet you're still so genuine and personable. So we're just super excited to have you here. And on that note, I'd love to hear more about what's your path been like, and what has it been like playing in the NFL, winning a Super Bowl, all the works.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. I first started playing football. I was 10 years old, and where I grew up, my home was right down the street from a park. It was called Irvington Park, and we lived in Irvington District. That's where all the schools, And so every Saturday when I was young, I would recognize that the park was just full of people, and I thought that there were just a bunch of kids playing at the park, and for whatever reason, I never went down there to go and check it out. I just assumed maybe there were birthday parties going on and all of these things. And so one day, this is fourth grade, I think. I'm 9 years old. I'm at school, and there's a good friend of mine. His name is Justin Ramos, and we've known each other since kindergarten. Still really good friends today. In fact, he DJs at my charity event every year. He comes down from Dallas.
Oh, nice.
Now. And I asked him at school, I said, "Hey, Jay, you ever go to the park on Saturdays? What's going on up there? It's like always crowded, And he says, there's a football league that goes on and the games are on Saturday. And I didn't know. And I was in a complete shock. Here I am, this 9-year-old kid, I'm just like, well, I want to play, like, can I play? Can I be on the team? And not understanding that there's like a sign up thing you got to do prior to the season starting and all these things. So that's how I got started. That next year, it was actually him and his parents that did all the paperwork for me, paid for me to get into the league. And boom, my first year playing football at 10 years old, there I am playing for the Fremont Football League Buffalo Bills. And that's where it all got started for me. And so that's where the journey started. And
wow.
Went through the high school ranks and was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to play at Utah State, which was a humongous decision for me, which would be for anybody, choosing what college you want to go to and, spend the next 4 or 5 years of your life. But I chose Utah State. I wanted the challenge of going to a school and playing for a school that just hadn't been successful in a long time. I had options and opportunities to go to University of Oregon and University of Washington. And a side note is that they wanted me to play defense. My dream was to play offense. But and Utah State supported that, and that was big for me. But also, I remember talking with my father about it, and I said, these other schools, Oregon, Washington, Nebraska, they're going to be good with or without me. And I just felt like, I said, Utah State, that's somewhere that I can make a difference. And so I chose to go to Utah State, and God is good. It worked out for me, and ended up getting drafted. And my ringtone in high school used to be the Monday Night Football theme, dun 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 dun, dun. And so it was always the dream. Always, it was like one of these days, I'll be playing on Sundays, and God made it happen for me. And then you fast forward to my second year, and we go to New York City, which was a dream for me. One of my favorite movies is Home Alone 2, just for the simple fact that it's in New York City. It was always this dream. I always fantasized about being in New York, and I don't know, just doing big things, whatever it was, the bright lights, it always excited me. My profile on my bio, I used to say, for the location on your bio on social media, it used to say big games and bright lights. So that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in big time ball games, and I wanted to be under the lights. Okay. And there was no better atmosphere for that than being in New York City and playing in the Super Bowl. And we won, and it was the fairy tale kind of thing, dream come true. Because not only are we in New York City, we're in the Super Bowl, we win the Super Bowl. I've got my family there, and it was just one of the great moments of my life.
That's just absolutely remarkable from start to now. I won't say end, because your story is still going, and there's a lot of things ahead that are really exciting, and we're excited to watch what comes next for you. But let's change gears just a teeny bit here and talk a little bit about, you've been on so many different teams, all the way from when you were 10 to the Super Bowl team at the Seahawks. Talk to us about teamwork, and how have you seen a good culture in a team impact the dynamics, and maybe a bad culture or not as good of a culture?
Good cultures are willing to sacrifice for the next person. Everything that you do is about the person that you're working with next to you, and that's both in sport and that is in business as well. And that's not to say that a selfish mindset doesn't allow you to be successful, but it's difficult to have an impact when that's your approach. And the best teams that I've been on, they cared about having a positive impact on each other. And I think about the teams that I played on in high school, and in even in pro. Like, it's the reason why we have these long lasting relationships is because we genuinely cared about one another. And when we were out there practicing, working out, running, schoolwork, whatever it was for the benefit of the next person. The teams that I've been on that weren't good or didn't have a bad culture was because the locker room was full of selfishness. Like, I would say 2015 Cleveland Browns. I don't communicate with any of those guys anymore. And maybe one or two, but that's because, like, one of the guys, Joe Thomas, he's a legend, and he's a legend because everything he did was about the team. And he played 11 years with the same team because of his mindset. But overall, we weren't able to be successful because it wasn't about the person next to you. It was a me thing. And when you have me, type of mindsets on any kind of team, it's gonna be very difficult to be successful.
So you mentioned that you had that desire to give an impact when you chose to go to Utah State. You recognized that they could use help, right, in their program and just in their athletic performance. So you had that attitude, and like, did you feel like you bringing that attitude kind of spread across the other team members, or like, how was their culture? Like, were you able to identify that they had a culture that would support your desires and like allow that to spread, or did they already have that culture? Like, how did that all work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That culture didn't exist
Okay.
at first, and it can be very challenging because you're the new kid on the block, right? And so who are you to try to kind of change how we do things already? But I didn't know any other way, because that was the way that I was taught growing up. That's the only way I knew. Once upon a time, I was like that, like a me guy. Like, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. And
sliced bread's pretty great. I mean,
And I remember being a sophomore in high school, and we were at practice, and we ran a play, all right, and my coach Skip Kane, it was his name, and great coach. And there was a certain area after I got the ball where he wanted me to run, all right, and I did that the first couple times, okay, and it wasn't very successful, all right, yardage wise. And so the next time I took the ball and I did what I wanted with. I bounced it to the outside, and we actually ended up scoring a touchdown, right? And he says, "That's not where I want you to run the football." And I was like, "But I just scored a touchdown. What are you talking about?" Yeah. So he says he wants me to run it again. So we run the play again, and I do the same thing. I'm like, I don't care what Coach Skip Kane is saying. Like, I'm Turbin. I know what I'm doing. And so he proceeds to again approach me and say, "You're not running the football," And so my response was, "I'm the running back, you're the coach. All right. You don't tell me how to run the football. I know how to run the football." So then he proceeds to put me on the bench, which that's never happened to me before at this age.
That was humbling.
Yeah, right. And another coach comes up to me and says, "Listen, I don't care how good you are. You ever talk to a coach like that again, I'm going to send you to the locker room and you'll never play for this team." All right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that has never happened to me before. All right. Because I was always too good, And the first thing I thought about was my dad, who was a pastor and who was always teaching me about this humble mindset, humility. And it's also, in the Bible a lot. Right. And I also thought about, I don't want to go home and tell my dad that I got kicked off the football team either. Okay. I didn't want to have to deal with those consequences. All right. But it completely changed my mindset as far as, being on a team. And so it took a little bit of time. But I think what happens is, once you start winning, you get a new staff with a similar mindset. It's able to trickle around the locker room, and you guys, you've seen it change over the last decade.
Wow. That's such an impactful story. And I think it applies, honestly, very directly to company culture in the workspace. Like we just barely had a conversation with another guest on the show, Aoife O'Brien, and she was talking about fit, like finding your fit in a company. And that can apply to sports and a team. Like you have to have that conversation about what's good for you. And you did that when you were considering going to Utah State, for example, and you found that fit, your values, what you're trying to achieve, and a team that aligned with that. But there's also this element of realizing, regardless of what type of team you're on, whether it's a marketing team, a nursing team, a construction team, you will achieve more together if there is that care for each other, and that, like you said, making an impact collectively.
Yeah.
Both what you're trying to achieve, what the work description is, but also building each other up out a little bit outside of that goal, but like interpersonally, there are relationships that exist from team member to team member, and we want to be conscious of that and care for those relationships.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and also from your leaders, like your coaches, they enforce that culture with you.
Sure.
And because I think it can trickle negatively as well. But when they have the leadership buying in that they want that culture of teamwork and they enforce that, then that's how it will remain.
Yeah. And just to, I guess, extend on that, you talk about fit, which is really important. Leadership is really important as well. You have your coaches, you have your management, right? But the real accountability comes from, the people who are actually putting in the action. So on the field, it's the players, and who's going to be the leader from a player standpoint. And then the office, who's going to be that leader as far as leading the sales team or leading the marketing team. And because we're all in this for the same goal and we're all doing the same work. I'm not just being a tyrant and telling you what to do, each and every day. But alongside with fitting in, it's buying in.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about role. And like from a sports example, it's like, hey, I wasn't a starter when I was a rookie. Marshawn Lynch was the starter. I wanted to be the starter, but my role was to be the second string running back. And in order for me to be successful and then for the team to be successful, I had to buy into that role. I had to accept that as of right now, this is my role. And if I keep working hard, eventually I'll become a starter. And it's the same thing, in the workforce. Everybody wants to be a leader. Some folks don't want to start in sales because they just don't like it, But in order to get to where you want to go as a manager or, a lead or whatever it is, you have to start somewhere and you have to buy into that role. I'll never forget when I was playing for the Indianapolis Colts, 2016. And it was the first time in my football career I thought for sure I was going to get cut. I was like, man, it's over, and I remember a coach coming up to me because there were certain roles that I had that I didn't want. I came to the Colts because, I wanted to be the starting running back. And I didn't want to play special teams, kickoff return, punt. I didn't want to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Coach Pagano, who was the head coach at the time, he says, Turbin, he says, until you buy in to your roles, you're not going to be successful. And he was right. Once I actually took a different approach each day and I treated special teams just like being a starting running back, everything changed. And I ended up having the best year of my career that year, 2016. And so there's a buy-in aspect as well once you find out where you fit in.
Man, that is so powerful. I mean, it's a change of mindset that can make all the difference. I mean, your position didn't change, but your performance sure did.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
That's huge.
Yep.
I think that idea of in a workplace owning your assignment or owning your position and doing the best that you can at that, knowing that that's going to achieve the goal that you have and everyone else's goals as well, the whole team's goals, the company's goals, right? And so do you have any advice so for working professionals to strengthen their teams? And that could have it's interesting how so applicable the sports team and the professional teams are.
Mm-hmm. I think it's simple. You got to hang out. One of the great things that we used to do at Logic 2020 was happy hours, and they're a little tedious. It's like, oh, we're going to happy hour again, but you get there, because people might want to, have other plans, and it's leadership who's organizing this. So it's like, you don't want to miss this, but it does so much for you as a team, as a unit, as a group of people trying to achieve a similar goal. And the best teams that I've been on, whether in sports or business, we hung out. We hung out with each other. In high school, it was in and out every Friday night after the game. It was Mo Betta, which was a Hawaiian barbecue place in Utah when I was at Utah State, and those are the things that build camaraderie. You know about my charity event, the basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, bringing together alumni who've graduated from various years, and we start practicing together from January until the game, which is in March. It's like, well, why do you practice? Well, you got to practice in order to give yourself the best chance to win, but it also builds character amongst, like, you get these individuals and you become one. That's what practice does. But also along that journey, we do what's called a team event. We'll go to Top Golf. We'll go bowling. We'll go to Dave and Buster's. And why do we do that? Because it's an opportunity for us to hang out off of the court, away from practice, away from work, right? Away from the business side, and really connect to the personal, because everybody has that. We're all human at the end of the day. And so it's connecting with that human aspect, that personal aspect. Obviously, everybody's not going to be your best friend, but it's about connecting, all right, from that aspect that I think really brings a team together and can build a winning culture.
So for companies listening, if they want to achieve their goals as a company, invest in your employees spending time together.
100%.
Doing fun things too.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I love that. It's so simple, so powerful. We're all people. We need to connect. We need to build those relationships of trust so that work, whatever type of work you're doing, whether that's on the field or off the field, can be more efficient. You're more familiar with each other. You can understand each other's needs and work together as a team. I think that's very powerful. Well,
Absolutely.
any other final words before we wrap it up today?
Well, just a big time thank you to the both of you. And I really enjoyed this. I appreciate being a part of your team at Mobrium, and also being able to have that personal connection as well. And every time we talk, it's not about Mobrium. It's not about the Runnin4U Foundation. It's about the kids. It's about, the studio that I'm building. It's about the review cycle, the book that you wrote. All of the things. And I you guys are on number 5 now, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, we've surpassed. I think you're going to be somewhere around episode 12 or maybe even 15.
Wait, are you talking about kids or?
I'm talking about kids.
Oh,
yeah,
kids.
Yes, we are on number 5.
Yes. We're getting our full basketball
I was on the
team.
same page.
Yeah, sorry, I'm the outsider here. You guys have a good connection. Yeah, we're baby number 5 coming later this month. Yeah, good
awesome,
memory, Robert.
Congratulations on that, and that's what it's all about right there. That's what it's all about, that connection.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed hearing more about, what led you to football, and as a 9-year-old, I think that's just so cool. And I'm guessing it came pretty naturally to you when you joined that team. Is that right?
It did. I had to, I was a little bit scared to hit at first, because it's a physical sport. So I'm not gonna lie.
You've been scared to hit. What?
Yeah, I was, my speed, it was what I was trying to utilize more than anything. All right. But no, I got used to it, and it was my dream pretty much ever since sophomore year of high school. Like, I started playing at 10, but I didn't my actual commitment to, I said, you know what, I'm going to be a professional football player. I was a sophomore in high school, and because there were other, I love sports. I love baseball so much. I wanted to be a pro baseball player at first. My favorite player of all time is Ricky Henderson, who is still the all-time steals leader, all right, in stolen bases. Played for the Oakland A's, and then a guy named Michael Jordan started winning championships, and there was nothing I wanted to do more than that. There was nothing I wanted to do more than that someday. But yeah, then I don't know. Then the pigskin came along after, and I just kind of fell in love with it, and there it was.
I'm sure you could have done any of those that you set your mind to, but it's really cool to hear about your whole path and all your experiences. And of course, we love that you supported the Aggies. That's awesome. But so great to learn from you today and see the direct ties between the teamwork on an athletic team and then the teamwork that we can have in the workplace. So thanks for all your insights today, Robert.
Of course. Till next time.
Yep. And for everyone listening, make sure to follow the Culture Prophet, subscribe, leave a review. and watch out for more episodes coming soon.
And check out for the Runnin4U Foundation as well, supporting a great cause.
We'll put a link on there in the article. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to the Culture Profit podcast and for being a part of our journey to prove that putting people first is best for business.
Today's episode was sponsored by Mowbray.
Want to get more employee reviews and streamline your employer reputation? Visit mowbray.com.
Now go find one way to prioritize your people and watch your profits grow.